So, good evening. Good evening, everybody in the chat room already. Thank you very much for waiting. Let's just get straight into it. Lucas Torreira's agent has come out and said that the move to AC Milan would be a special moment for him, a special move. I'm going to read the direct quotes in a minute. Obviously, as we know, the manager, Gianpaolo, the Sampdoria manager that worked with Torreira before he was sold to us, is likely to be unveiled in the next 48 hours as AC Milan's new head coach. And that deal is apparently going to go through very quickly. Apparently he's in Milan and he's going to be unveiled in the next 48 hours. So Gianpaolo is going to be the AC Milan manager. Now, like I said, he worked with Lucas Torreira. They then sold him to us. He's been here for a year. And he's had a fairly decent season. I wouldn't say he's ripped anything up and ripped trees out the ground and stuff like that. I say he's been all right. He's been pretty decent. There's been games where he's been absolutely fantastic and by far and away the best player on the pitch. But then there's been other games where we've been absolutely slapped by teams, and yeah, he's looked an absolute liability as well. So as I keep saying, I'll probably give him about a 7 out of 10 for the season. I think he's done all right. I wouldn't say he's been fantastic, but for a first season in the league, new territory, new teammates, new country, new language, I think that's a reasonable performance, a reasonable effort. So yeah, let's get into the comments. First off, let's go with what Torreira said last week. If I can find it. No, I can't find that. I think I got rid of it. But this is what his agent said. Basically, he said that I can't blooming find it. Bear with me. Right, here we go. I don't know anything about AC Milan's interest yet. No one has contacted me directly. I have learned this possibility through the press right now. Could a call from Gianpaolo be something special for Lucas? Yes, clearly it can. Now, I'm sorry, why is your agent coming out and saying that when you're currently under contract at Arsenal, number one? Number two, even if you think it, why are you saying it? Like, I just don't understand what's going on there. Personally, I do think Torreira wants out. I think he wants to go back to Italy. His girlfriend's Italian. The weather, the stuff like that, he came out with the comments last week, back end of last week, saying that he goes home and it's cloudy and cold. He goes to training, it's cloudy and cold. He can't communicate with his teammates on the pitch because of the language. He hasn't learnt much English, etc., etc. So, you know, it all heads in the direction of him going back to Italy. Now, if that does end up being the case, then we need to maximise as much money out of this as we can. I think that, like I said, he's had a fairly decent season this season. And, you know, at the end of the day, he was still part of a team that finished 5th. So none of them are indispensable. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're Aubameyang, Torreira, Leno, Ozil, whoever you are. At the end of the day, money talks and bullshit walks. Now, we need money, apparently. Apparently, we're skint and we're Barnet and we can't compete for players, etc., etc. So if a bid does come in from AC Milan that Arsenal find acceptable, then we've got to accept that he is going back to Italy. And thanks for the goal against Tottenham, but it's time to say goodbye. You know, so, you know, these players, sometimes they don't cut it in this league. Sometimes it don't feel right. And it's not just us as a football club, it's other clubs as well. It's other countries as well, you know. Some players are just not the right fit for a club. And he's come in, he's tried his best. He's been decent for most of the season, fell off the wagon big time towards the back end of the season. But at other times, he was a one-man midfield. And, you know, for £26 million, we got ourselves a bargain. It looked like he was going to be the midfielder that was going to be the missing cog in our midfield to, you know, grab everything and everyone around him and be that solid focal point in that midfield that's going to break up every attack, is going to spring forward, is going to pass the ball to the better players and the goal scorers. And in the main, he has done that this season. But at the same time, if we have got an unhappy player, and I think, listen, I don't know the guy, I don't know anyone who's connected to him. I'm just giving you my opinion. If you are unhappy, you go back to where you were. And that's how I see it, you know. And sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side. You know, it's always good to go and play for a massive club in London. But at the same time, you know, he doesn't speak English. His missus is Italian. He's worked with a manager who's likely to be the AC Milan manager in the next 24, 48 hours. And there's no smoke without fire. So personally, I think we probably need to prepare to get rid, or not get rid, but prepare for Granit. Can't even fucking speak today, man. Prepare for Lucas Torreira to possibly be leaving this football club. And if he is leaving, then the club have got a massive amount of backlash coming their way, number one. But number two, they better go out and have something up their sleeves to go and replace him, because we've seen how poor we was without him in the team last season, not the season just finished, the season before. Yes, this season we haven't been much better, but we have been better. And if he goes, then we better have a massive backup plan. We better have something in the pipeline for us to go, do you know what? It don't matter that he's gone. Because, you know, the fact that he's come in, the goal against Tottenham cemented him in our team. That was the moment Torreira rose up and said, nah, I'm the man you've been missing. I'm the guy in midfield that you've needed for years, right? And that game, I was at that game, the atmosphere in that ground when he scored that goal was probably the loudest it's been for a long, long time. And it was a good time to be an Arsenal fan right then. You know, fast forward to now, you know, we've got no signings. We've got our best midfielder, and he is our best midfielder, let's be real, possibly going back to Italy to go to Milan. We've got other players being linked with moves out that haven't happened yet. We're being linked with 1,000,001 different players, and we're currently, over a month? It's a month and 2 days since the transfer window opened, and absolutely nothing has happened so far for us, apart from players leaving at the end of this month that we knew were leaving anyway. Czech, Ramsey, Lichtsteiner, Welbeck. But yeah, I just think that, listen, at the end of the day, it'd be sad to see him go. But if he does go, then he's obviously doing it for his family and for himself. And you've got to put yourself and your family before playing football sometimes. And if he's not happy in England, then we've got to accept that, you know, whether it's sad or not. But I'm telling you now, they better have a backup plan if he does go, because there is going to be dramas, man. There's going to be meltdowns if Torreira leaves. And to be honest with you, if I was to give a percentage chance of this happening, in my opinion, I'd say it's probably 75% that he's going to go back to Italy. That's just how I feel. Like I said, I ain't got any inside information or anything like that. But I just think that it ticks all the boxes. The manager he works with is going to AC Milan. AC Milan wants him. His agents come out and said it'd be a special move for him. You know, his missus isn't happy here. He's not happy here, really, when he's talking about the weather and the language barrier and he can't communicate with his teammates. So it all leads into that direction. And unless Arsenal got something up their sleeve to magically go bang and Torreira's happy, then the chances are he's gone. And we've just got to suck it up and accept it and hope this club are capable. And they haven't been capable for a long, long time. But we need to hope that this new mob that are in there now are capable of going out and going, do you know what? It don't matter he's going because we've got this, this and this. So I don't know. There we go. Let me get your thoughts on it. Do you think Emery can charm Rabiot's mother? Is she still his agent? I think he sacked her, didn't he? To be honest, I don't want him either. I think that's another one. He's just he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder. He just thinks he's better than he is. Let's be real. All of a sudden, this guy's suddenly a world-class midfielder. What? Because he's linked with Arsenal? Come on, man. Let's read some more of these. 75 million, says Zahid Khan. Do you know what? I don't think he's going to go for 75 million. If he does go, I think it'll be around the 45, 40 to 50, something like that. And like I said, I do think he is going to go, sadly. I think if he's unhappy, then he's going. You know, and why would we want to keep an unhappy player at the club? Because he ain't going to help us out in any way, shape or form if he ain't happy, is he? Let's be real. I know he's a professional. I know he's paid to do a job. But we've seen other players that are professional and paid to do a job that walk around as if the world owes them something. Pogba being one of them, Ozil being another one, other players over the years. You know, so I'm not saying he's going to go down that road. Sanchez spat his dummy out. Fabregas has spat his dummy out before. I'm not saying Torreira's going to do that, but sometimes with some of these South American players, they're very highly strung. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying he doesn't look the type of guy to make a scene or a noise in the club and upset people, but you just never know. And, you know, the fact his agents come out and said it'd be a special move for him, for me, that sort of cements the fact that he's basically saying, yeah, come and get me. He's available. That's what he's basically saying. He said that he hasn't had no concrete interest from AC Milan, but if that choice was there to work with Gianpaolo again, then it'd be a special moment. Then you're basically saying, come and get me. Let's read some of your questions. You were just waffling. Thanks for that, Ray. You're still watching it, mate. How about set your own channel up and show me how it's done, mate? What about that? Don't think Xhaka, I don't think Atletico will bid for him. They want Llorente from Real Madrid as a first choice. Do you know what? That's true, they do. And I think he'll be a bit cheaper as well. But it's whether Real are going to sell to Atletico, you know? So we all know the dramas that go on between the Spanish clubs out there. So I don't know. You talk crap, says Famida. Oh, they're all out tonight. Go and watch Love Island then, mate. They can have Granit Xhaka, says Vizard. Yep, I agree. They can have him. Do you think with Arsenal's free kits this season coming, do you think that we've got a banana skin? I have no idea what that means, mate. Buy Torreira a sauna and heat him up. do you know what though, right? I know what it's like when you're in a country and you don't want to be there. You know, I've been to countries over the years, and like I've just thought, you know what? Why the fuck have I come here? Yeah, so I know what it's like when you don't want to be somewhere, right? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money we pay a guy. If he's not happy, he's not happy. Whether he's getting paid £1,000 a week or 150 grand a week, if he's not happy, he's not happy. And you know, you could tell at certain points in the season that he looked just dejected. Like when you watched him on the pitch, he always gives he tries his hardest. You can't fault him for lack of effort. But sometimes you just looked at his face and he just looked around as if to say, I can't, what can I do? You know? But like I said, I ain't got any inside information, but I personally think if he ain't happy here, he's going. And I think it'd be the right decision. If he ain't happy, Arsenal need to get rid of him. We've seen, you know, Alexis Sanchez not be happy and the rest of the team all have a meltdown about it. So, you know, are we going to go through this again? And there is going to be ups and downs and bumps along the way on this rebuilding process. It's not going to be easy. Have you been to Ireland? Says Jack. Yes, I have. I've done a stag do in Dublin, my friend. Proper pint of Guinness out there. It tastes different in Ireland. It tastes completely different in England. Proper Irish Guinness, mate. Want to buy Adam Lallana, special price for you. Do you know what? He ain't as bad as people think he is. He's actually not a bad footballer, Lallana. It's like Reyes all over again. Do you know what? That's a very good point, mate. He came in, he done really well for us, Reyes, and then got homesick. And I know Torreira's not from Italy, but he's lived a large part of his life over in Italy and found a missus from Italy. So, you know, that basically is home to him. And it's a shame. You know, when we sold Reyes, I was gutted because that guy was a brilliant player. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a long summer. It's already been a long summer to start off with. Let's be real. We're 6 weeks into a transfer window or 5 weeks into a transfer window, and absolutely nothing has happened so far. And yeah, we're now sitting here thinking one of our best players could be leaving after being here for a year. So it's all doom and gloom being an Arsenal fan right now, if I'm being honest. But you know, somebody's just putting here, where is it? Yes or no to Saliba XLCX? I'm not so sure, mate, to be honest. I'm not so sure. He's either going to be a world beater or he's going to flop. It's a big risk. I'd rather go for a tried and tested player, mate, to be honest. we don't need a centre-back that's one for the future. We need a centre-back that's for right now. So is he for right now? I'm not sure he's good enough. I'm not sure he's good enough at all, if I'm being honest. So Lee, when are you going to say 5 minutes and then make it an hour? Well, it's already been 15 minutes, so you've got about 20 minutes left. Who would be your target as centre-back, says Crypto Knowledge Alliance? My target as centre-back would be Manolas. Obviously, he would bed straight in, being from the same country as Socrates. He's a very good centre-back. Yes, he's not a world-class, all-singing, all-dancing centre-back, but he is by far head and shoulders above anything we have at this football club. And I think the partnership with him and Socrates, him and Holding, or all three of them, would make us completely different going forward into next season. Get rid of Mustafi, maybe buy another one as well, promote a kid, maybe even buy Saliba, I don't know. But we definitely need a proper, proven centre-back, not a kid that could be good. What is your favourite Arsenal game of all time and your greatest moment in the Emirates? Greatest moment in the Emirates. And it's going to sound stupid because it was a game that we drew and it was the 2-2 against Barcelona. But we were 2-0 down in that game. And I remember a young Theo Walcott come on and scared the fucking life out of them. Fabregas scored a penalty with a broken leg. Ibra dinked Almunia from about 30 yards out. And that was one of the best performances I'd ever witnessed from Xavi. He was absolutely phenomenal that night. So was our goalkeeper, to be fair. Almunia could have been 10-0 at half-time. But yeah, that was probably the best moment in terms of game. Obviously, Messi, Iniesta, they were a prime Barcelona when we played them. And that game had everything. Premier League game, I don't know, probably the Tottenham last season, because the atmosphere was mad. There was something different about it last season. The whole, like, from the start of the season all the way through, it was just a different atmosphere. You know, it was obviously we're going into a new season with a new manager, and it just had a whole different vibe last season. You know, from the opening day of the season all the way through, it was just a buzz. You know, the crowd stayed behind the players. You know, I've noticed as well, not so many empty seats with 10 minutes to go. A lot more people are staying behind and waiting until the final whistle is actually blown, then leaving the stadium, even on midweek games. So, yeah, if we're going to go on last season, then it'd be the Tottenham game. My favourite Arsenal game of all time, to finish off your question, favourite Arsenal game of all time, I'd have to say was probably one I've watched live was probably the Middlesbrough 5-3. I'd say that was probably the best game of football, because that game had everything as well. But game that I wasn't at and watched, there's been loads, man. There's been absolutely loads. Real Madrid away. There's loads, man. Man United games when we've won at Old Trafford. Tottenham 5-4. You know, even the 4-4 game against Tottenham, that just had everything as well. That game was mad. So there's loads, man. There's absolutely loads. Liverpool first game was pretty good. Best atmosphere, 2-1 Arshavin. Yeah, that was mad. Mate, Arshavin was a very good footballer. Which teams are you looking forward to playing in the Europa League next season? Oh dear, the banter competition. But I've actually enjoyed it, if I'm being honest. It's different countries, different teams, different players, different stadiums, and we actually have a chance to go and win it. Because let's be real, we have zero chance to go and win the Champions League. So whilst it's great to get the money in, is the money going to get spent? Probably not. So yeah, why not go and try and win the Europa League? Just heard Bellerin is out until next season. Jesus Christ, we now need a right back. Now that bald fraud can swoop in and try and take Lucas. He's a snake in the grass. I take it you mean Gazidis. Do you know what? That guy is a snake in the grass, mate. And I think Bellerin was always going to be out until about November anyway, I think. I may be wrong, but thanks for your donation as well, mate. Appreciate that. And to you, VP. Thank you. Let's read some more of these. I swear you lot are mad. You lot are crazy. Lee, I have to say, as a Liverpool fan, I always feel it is a bad move to leave Highbury. It's like Arsenal sold their soul, says Popandu. Do you know what, mate? That's exactly what happened. We sold our soul for £1 note. We did, and I still miss Highbury, man. Proper stadium, mate. And you know, whilst it was needed to move to try and get more money in, it's not really gone the way we all thought it was going to. Do you know what I mean? Stephen, thanks for that, mate. Do you trust the board to bring in the right players? Do you know what? That's a good question as well. And I do trust this Raul guy. I think that, you know, I think he's completely the other end of the spectrum to the bald fraud at AC Milan. I think Gazidis was just, do you know what, right? The easiest way to put it is I think that Vinay is basically the Gazidis of now. Yeah, he talks a good game. I don't think he's got anything about him. I think Raul, when he did that sit-down interview, you could see that the guy is so passionate about football. So yeah, I think we are in good hands with him. Hopefully this Edu deal's unveiled soon and he's going to come in as technical director. Now with Freddie in the first team as well. I think it's all going in the right direction. But the problem is you can't, when you take over a club, you can't just go bang, magic wand and clear everything out in one hit. So it is going to take time. But the problem is Arsenal fans are impatient, and we have every right to be impatient because we've had 10 years of this crap, 10 years of lies and spin and crap like that. Do you know what I mean? It's about time they stop talking and start doing. You're on at the same time as Chig. I'm watching you both. Am I really? Go and subscribe to Chig's channel as well if you haven't. Try and get him up to 5k. Guna Eagle Eye. Serious question. When is it time to start losing our shit, says Vizard. I'll tell you when it's time to start losing our shit, right? Firstly, when that kit comes out, if we don't sign a player by the time we go to that tour of America, that's when it's time to start losing our shit, because then we'll have less than a month and we'll be on tour and our players, our new signings won't be on tour. So I'm hoping that in that 2 weeks before we go to America, from when the kit's unveiled, that is when we get a lot of our business done. That interview was staged. Questions were proper set up. She didn't ask the right questions, says Andrew. Do you know what? With all these things, though, like it's like a press conference, mate. Yeah, and I totally agree. Totally agree with what you're saying. Yeah, some of the questions, probably all of the questions, were vetted because that's what happens on a press conference as well. So all the media that turn up to a press conference, they have to go through the media guy or the media woman at the club and so ask and show them or say to them what questions they're going to ask. And then the media person at the club will say, yeah, you can ask that, or no, you can't ask that, or we're not taking questions on X, Y, or Z. So yeah, it probably was set up a little bit, mate, just to put our minds at ease. But listen, the thing is with Arsenal fans is we've been sold down the river too many times. We're too clever to realise this. But I just think that, you know, you can't you know, when Raul was speaking, you could see in his face, yeah, the guy's eyes lit up when he was talking about what he wants to achieve with Arsenal. And I don't personally think you can fake that. You know, you can't fake that emotion of you're talking and you're just so emotional and so like passionate about it. When you looked over at Vinay, the geezer had nothing about him. Literally just sat there with his legs crossed, just chatting absolute crap. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they can talk the talk now, can't we? Wenger needs to be technical director, mate. I ain't even reading the rest of it. He's just what you need to get everything right in the club. You're a joker, man. Bamiyang is going to leave if he doesn't sign a new contract as Arsenal producer. Well, this is the thing. If we offer him a new contract, from what Raul was saying, we offer a new contract when they're in their last 2 years and they don't sign it, they're being sold. So now the proof's in the pudding. The proof will be in the pudding as to whether he gets offered a deal. If he rejects it, he's going, isn't he? And if he don't go, they're full of shit. Hey Lee, I am watching from Dubai. Lovely, man. I'll be out there in December. Raul is all talk. Mesut should leave for China. What is the latest on Carrasco? I'm not sure, to be honest with you, Luke. I don't know, mate. Nothing at the moment has happened. Where in Dubai are you going? I haven't booked it yet, mate, but I'm definitely going in December. I'm not sure where yet. Heard United want Aubameyang for 70 million. I kind of touched on this earlier on my 5 o'clock stream. That came from TalkSport last night's show with Goldstein and Cundy. And he reckons that he's got a mate who works at the club or works in and around the club that has inside information, and he gets 75% of his transfer things right. And apparently Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants Aubameyang. Well, there's wanting him and getting him. That's two separate things. What's wrong with doing an old-fashioned 4-4-2 with 2 wingers whipping it in for Albert and Laka and 2 hardcore midfielders? That's a good point, Oase. That's a good point, mate. I think that. Thanks, VP. I think that. Listen, the problem is when you play that formation, you've got to be disciplined and make sure your midfield doesn't get overrun. And if you go bombing forward, and your 2 wingers are caught up high with your 2 strikers, as soon as they break, you're fucked. Especially if you've got your left back and your right back overlapping, all of a sudden you're top heavy and now you've got nothing in defence. So when you're playing against a 5 in midfield or a 3 in midfield with 2 wingers, you're going to get overrun. So yeah, which club has the most deluded fans in the Premier League? That's an easy one for me to answer that, Rabat. That is Arsenal, mate. That is Arsenal. Every player we get linked to is suddenly world class. So yeah, every single player we buy is a world class player. And even when they're not a world class player, they still get told they're world class. What youngsters do you think will be given a chance this season? Well, I hope Reece Nelson gets given a chance. I think listen, at the end of the day, Reece Nelson can do a hell of a lot worse than 3/4 of our squad did last season. So why wouldn't you give him a chance? You know, the guy's direct. He can run at people. He can score goals. He can create goals. He can dribble. He can cross a ball. Why would we not give that guy a chance? I don't care how old he is and whether he's done it before or not done it before. At the end of the day, you know, you're never going to know whether a player can do it unless you throw him in and play him. And is he going to be any worse than Mkhitaryan? No. Is he going to be any worse than Iwobi? No. Mesut Ozil? No. So why not play him? I think Smith Rowe deserves a chance. I think he's the one out of the group of players we've got young kid wise. I think he's the one that's destined to be a superstar. I think he's got every single attribute to succeed in the Premier League. But yeah, I think Joe Willock, I think he deserves a chance. I think he proved in that 20-minute cameo in the final we got slapped in the other week that he has got more than enough about him to handle a high pressure situation. He came on with not a care in the world and went for it, and he nearly scored a very good goal in that game. In fact, he should have scored the goal, but I think he deserves his chance. I think Maitland-Niles has proved that he can be all right. He can be a good player. Obviously, he's filled in at right back. He ain't a right back, but I think all 4 of them deserve a crack in the team. Why not? Listen, what's the point in going out and buying a big name? We've done that with Ozil. Not happened. We've done that with Granit Xhaka. He came in as a big signing. Yeah, a lot of people didn't know about him, but by the time he signed, everyone was a Granit Xhaka expert. Maybe if they'd done their homework properly, we would have realised he was fucking awful. But you know, I'm sick and tired of spending out absolute fortunes on these players. And I know it ain't my money, but I'm in the club. Spending out fortunes and fortunes on these players that are dubbed this and dubbed that, and they're the best at this and the best at that, when they're absolutely fucking atrocious. So why not throw these kids in? They can't be any worse. Let's be real. you know. And the one thing you will get out of them is work rate. Yeah, they will work their asses off for you. So why not play them? We should have got Kante. Yeah, we should have, mate. But apparently it was cheaper to buy Xhaka with wages and transfer fee. So there you go. Another masterstroke. The youngsters deserve a chance. I agree. Exactly, Omar. A club is interested in Granit Xhaka. That has made my day. Highbury or Stamford Bridge? Is that a trick question, Chirag? Is that a trick question? Highbury all day long, man. Number 10 is dead. Do you know what, Ashram? Yeah, I've said that for about 18 months, mate. Yeah. Number 10s are a dying breed. Yeah, you don't require a number 10 in modern football. You require two pacey wingers with a proper striker and three hard-working midfielders that can get up and down the pitch. And, you know, that's why we're lagging so far behind, because we're still pinning our hopes on a 30-year-old guy who don't look like he gives a toss about football. So there we are. And there's adoring fans that go with it. And the reason why the guy's still here. You know, at the end of the day, a manager left this football club last season because the fans voted with their feet. Left to his adoring fan base, he'd still be in a job. And if the fans still turned up, he'd still have a job. It's harder to do that with a player. It's harder to get a player to go, you know, but he shouldn't be here. Ozil will turn up more for his hot new misses than he does on the pitch for us. Have you determined the name of your podcast yet? Says Tokyo Guna. You're probably watching me at some off-key time right now, my friend, so I appreciate that. I haven't yet. I'm still getting names coming in on it. So if anyone's got any names for the podcast, stick them in the comments after this video is finished. I'll read through them. As soon as I've got two names, I'm going to pull it to you guys to do on a poll. Would Oxlade-Chamberlain strengthen Arsenal, says Rabbi. Yes, he would, mate. Yes, he would. He would strengthen us instantly because he's a very good footballer. And it's a shame it ended how it ended. And I felt a little bit sorry for him in the end. You know, like he was just getting dog's abuse by the end of it. But that game up at Anfield, he should never have played in that game. I was at that game when you absolutely battered us. You're probably sitting there thinking which year, but it happens every year. But yeah, he was playing right back or right wing back that day, and he didn't want to be there, mate. He was always going to Liverpool, so why play him against Liverpool at Anfield at right wing back? Don't get it. But he was a good player for us. Never really got a proper crack in the right position, but I'm sure he will under a proper manager. Get Diego Costa. Do you know what? I would take that horrible bastard in a heartbeat. That is the sort of player Arsenal need. Some dirty little fuck like him up front, winding up defenders. And it's a miracle he's only ever had one red card in his career, and that was this season just gone. He ended up getting an 8-match ban for it as well, I think. So he said something about the referee's mum. Get Damari Gray, says Aesthetic Alpha. I'm not sure about him, man. He's got talent, no doubt, but I'm not too sure. I think he's a good player, but I don't know. Maybe another season at Leicester, see how he gets on. Douglas Costa, not for me. One of the most overrated footballers in the world, mate. Leon Bailey, bit too soon for him, I think. Good player, though. Diego Costa has got disciplinary problems. He's only had one suspension, I think, mate, and that was 8 games for calling the referee's mum a whore or something. So, yeah, I don't think he's been that bad. Like, I couldn't believe it when I read he only had one red card in his career. That's pretty mental. Dusan Tadic, says Surreal. He's a good player. He is a good player. He was good at Southampton, but it didn't quite work out for him. And that just shows, doesn't it? This is what I was saying earlier on about Lucas Torreira. Is like, you know, a player can come in, you get a good player, he plays reasonably well, but it just don't fit. You know, and then that Tadic has gone and now been involved in 40 odd goals this season. Yeah, it's mad. What would you do if Man United beat us in the Europa League final? Mate, do you know what? It was, it was always Arsenal and Man United back in the day battling it out. Yeah, it's not really got that edge to it anymore, but I still can't stand them. I still can't stand them. And their fans have had a reality check since Fergie's left, haven't they? In a dead league, though, remember that. Yeah, it is a dead league, to be fair, but he's still a very good player, mate. He's still a very good player. And, we have seen some players come from a dead league and do well. But like I said, it's not for everyone, It's not just England Premier League that this happens. This happens all over the world, doesn't it? Some players just go to a club and it just don't happen for them. And, that's down to multiple things, So Alex Song is better than all of our current CMs. Yep, you're not wrong. Willock is overrated. We need the Torreira and Ndidi, a traditional left and right back, and a traditional central defender, a creative midfielder, a winger. Give Reece a chance, Smith Rowe, and sell El Neni. I kind of agree with all that, mate, to be honest with you. I do think Willock isn't overrated. I think he's a good player, but I agree with everything else you said, mate. Get Bielik. Do you know what, right? I've seen a lot of you guys asking me about this guy and should he get a chance next season. For me, 100% no. Not good enough. Not good enough. I'd sell him to Charlton. He done well there, so why not sell him to them or sell him to someone else? Do you think Chelsea will get top 4 next season? Transfer ban and Hazard has gone to Madrid. It's going to be very difficult for them, mate. That's for sure. It's going to be very, very difficult. But they have got 1,000,001 kids that they can choose from. So, they've signed Pulisic as well. I'm not saying he's any good because I don't rate him either. But you never know. He might come in and take the league by storm. Who knows? You just don't know, do you? But I think that they're going to struggle. What with Man United and us, I think it'll be all three of us battling again for that 4th spot. Xhaka or Rabiot? Rabiot, mate. Rabiot. Get Depay. Don't rate him. It's another one who didn't really do it in this league and smashed it back in France. We will finish 6th. You heard it here first. How can you say Douglas Costa is overrated, says KS1? Because do you know what? I've never seen him do anything of any note consistently, mate. I just genuinely do not see what the fuss is about with that guy. Yes, he's got all the skills and the flair and the pace, but his output is shocking, mate. And if you put that guy in the Premier League, his output would be less because our league's tougher than the Italian league, where he's in a team that dominate the whole league. If you put him in Arsenal, would he do any better than Alex Iwobi? Probably not. Probably not. But in Italy, he looks fantastic. Rabiot has got attitude problems. He has. He's got a stinking attitude, but I'd still rather a stinking attitude over Granit Xhaka. To be honest, Canada Soccer, I'd take you over Granit Xhaka, mate. He struggled at Munich. Exactly. And that's the thing. Again, another one, it wasn't the right fit for him. What happened to that other guy as well with the dreads? What's his name? He went on loan at Southampton. Where's he playing now? What's he doing? Because he flopped as well. That's it. Renato Sanchez. That's it. Thank you to everyone who told me that. Renato Sanchez, another overrated, overhyped kid. Done absolutely nothing to warrant the transfer fees, the adulation, and the like levels of people going, oh, he's brilliant, he's this, he's that. I think it's just because he's got a funky hairstyle that people rate him. He went to Swansea and did fuck all. Kingsley Coman's another one. So overrated. Is Saliba ready to play for the first team? Says Autumn Leaves. I'm not so sure he is, mate, to be honest with you. Name a winger with a decent cross that we should go for, not a winger that comes inside, please. Ryan Fraser. That guy is relentless at crossing. He put more crosses in than most of our players combined last season. Do you remember that Renato Sanchez pass to the ad board? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, yeah, I remember that. He thought it was his teammate, didn't he? Matt Target thoughts, says Charlie. I don't know, mate. I don't know. I've not seen enough of him to. I think that, listen, for £10 million, it could be a gamble that's worth taking. Because I don't rate Kolasinac, and I just want an overhaul of this whole squad. So I'd probably take him, but I'm not too sure. Like I said, I've not really seen him play, mate. I know he scored, put a cross in against us, but would you take Marquinhos? No, I'm not convinced by him, mate, to be honest. I'm not convinced by him. Where is Pascal Segan nowadays? That's a good question, mate. Don't know. Would you take Seamus Coleman, says Aaron? Yeah. Yeah, as a backup to Bellerin. They could fight it out. I would take Seamus Coleman. Right, I'm going to do a couple more minutes of this, and then I'm going to get myself out of here. These comments are going so quick, it's hard to keep up. Iwobi to Lazio for 25 million. Without a pay for Fraser. Arsenal don't need another short centre back. We need a warrior in there, man. We need a Martin Keown, just some ugly bastard to go in centre back that don't care about taking a ball to the face. Prime Henry or a prime Wayne Rooney, says Central Man Network. Fucking, that's a good question, that, mate. But that is a good question. Rooney was a beast. He was a beast. When he was on it, in his prime, he was ridiculous. One of the best goals I've ever seen was when he talking to the referee, and then the ball just loops up and he just volleyed it straight in against Newcastle. His hat-trick against Fenerbahce on his debut for United. But for me, it's always Henry over Rooney, mate. Rooney was good, but like really good. But Henry, the shit that guy could do was just pathetic. Titi or Kimpembe? Kimpembe for me, mate. Reese, I'd take Kimpembe. I wouldn't risk spending the largest sum on Titi and then his knee to go again. I'd rather take Kimpembe. We will go backwards before we go forwards. Still a couple of years behind the pack. Absolutely spot on, Zach. Spot on, mate. Most overrated Arsenal player ever equals Mesut Ozil. I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I'm in trouble, mate. Marquinhos is way better than Kimpembe. He may well be, but I'd still take Kimpembe over him. Kimpembe or Tar. I still think Kimpembe, mate. They're both decent though. Most underrated Arsenal player of all time, says the culture medium. That's a quality question, that, mate. Do you know what? I'm gonna be a bit old school with this one. I'm gonna say Anders Limpar. Yeah, Anders Limpar was such a baller. It was unbelievable. So all the older lot that are watching this, yeah, they'll remember him, right? And anyone who hasn't ever seen Anders Limpar play, after this stream's done, type in on YouTube Anders Limpar Arsenal and just go and watch some of the stuff that guy could do. He was so underrated, man. Proper footballer. How are people getting the Adidas kits early? Do you know what? That's a brilliant question, that is, mate, because I've seen a couple of people on Instagram wearing it. Literally, yeah, not photoshopped. They've actually put the kit on and they are wearing it. So I want to know how they've got it early. So if anybody knows, let me know, because I want one. John Jensen. Oh, mate. Do you know what? That guy is better than half of our midfielders now, mate. He is better than half of our midfield. And one thing's for sure, he'd never shirk a tackle or walk back. That's damn right, mate. He'd be running everywhere. Sign Roberto Carlos for left back. He was class on Soccer Aid. I see him do a little bit of skill where he flicked it over his head, backheeled it over his head to a player. I see that. Tim Ashton says, Limpar was my best Arsenal player, proper legend. Yeah, mate, he was sick. Ray Parler's another shout. Yeah, he's a shout, says John. Yeah, both of them. Ray Parler's goal, I'll never forget that against Chelsea, man. What a goal that was. It's only Ray Parler, and he slaps it in from 30 yards. And that game was funny, right? Because a couple of minutes later, Freddie Ljungberg just brushed off John Terry, run through, and then just curled one past Kudicini into the top bins. And it was 2-0. It was like, wow, we've scored two of the best cup final goals ever. Eddie McGoldrick, you're a joker, Dane. He was probably the worst player ever. Right, I am going to wrap this up. Pull Dick off. Oh, mate. Do you remember the Invincible season, yeah? When we played Leicester, it was the last game of the season. It was him that scored the header against us. I was sitting there like, oh, mate, this guy is going to fuck us, man. And he used to play for us. But luckily, the boys pulled it through. Loving your channel. Bring on the podcast. Cheers for that, Daz. Thank you. Skulls or gigs? Oh, man. Do you know what? I'd have to say gigs. Right? Scholes was brilliant, man. Absolute genius of a midfielder. But you know what? I remember Giggs' debut. Just some pale white guy, man, with long curly black hair. Just running down the wing, jinking in and out, just fucking ruining players, man. And he did that for, what, 20 years? It was ridiculous how good that guy was, man. And that fucking goal he scored against us as well. And then he whipped out his fucking chest hair. Perry Groves. Prime Adams or Prime John Terry, says Matthew plays FIFA. Adams all day long, mate. All day long. Most underrated for me was David Rocastle, says Andrew. Do you know what? I think that's a fitting way to end this stream. He was a fantastic footballer, mate. And do you know what? It's sad that so many of the newer generation of Arsenal fans don't really know much about him. You know, there's been games when I've been at the Emirates and we all stand up and sing his song on 7 minutes and that, and other people just don't understand what we're doing. So it's quite sad, really, when you think of it, mate. But yeah, he was a quality footballer, man. So yeah, there we go. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you to over 500 people watching at one stage. It was nearly 600. Before you all leave and go and search Anders Limpar and David Rocastle on YouTube, all put a thumbs up on the video. Thank you very much for all the comments. Don't be offended if I don't read your comments out. They go at 100 miles an hour. If I see one, I'll read it. If it's a decent question or a good comment, I'll read it, obviously. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like, share the content around, and I'll be back tomorrow morning with my daily transfer update. So I'm out of here. Laters, peeps.